We're told that belly fat is unhealthy, unattractive, and based solely on eating too many calories. The common perspective is that anyone can lose their gut and replace it with six-pack abs just by dieting and working out consistently. And while there is a lot of truth to this, it's not entirely accurate, and there are many things that nobody really even talks about when it comes to belly fat, whether it's trainers, influencers, or even doctors. Starting first with genetics, which plays a significant role. Specifically, we can refer to a study which found that genetic factors significantly influence fat distribution in the body. The research involved nearly 360,000 participants and found that men accumulated more fat around the abdomen, while women tend to store more fat on their hips and legs. Using data from the UK Biobank, the researchers identified almost 100 genes that influence fat distribution, and many of those effects were stronger or exclusively present in one gender over the other. Another well-known factor that influences body fat distribution in men is testosterone. An older study and analysis published in the International Journal of Obesity found that recent studies in men have shown that abdominal fat increases with age and decreasing testosterone concentrations. The good news is that even if you happen to be more inclined or predisposed to storing fat around your midsection, you shouldn't use it as an excuse. You still can get a lean midsection. It just might be a bit harder because your body will burn that fat only after it has burned off the fat from the rest of the body. If you are more likely to store fat around your midsection, you'll first likely burn the fat from your extremities like your hands, feet, and face. Next will be your arms and legs, and eventually it should come off your hips and belly. Since your body's preferential fat storage patterns are likely different than someone else's, I always say you shouldn't compare your results directly to someone else. You should instead compare to yourself only by measuring with a tape measure, a scale, and how you look in the mirror. As long as you're making progress, regardless of how small, keep moving in that direction and the belly fat will eventually come off. Another myth about belly fat that has been increasingly coming to light is the myth of spot reduction. Even though far fewer people believe in this nowadays, there are still countless people in every gym around the world doing crunches right now believing that they can target and spot reduce their belly fat. But especially lately, the academic world has made it crystal clear that you can't shed belly fat solely through abdominal exercises. For example, in a study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, participants engaged in 4 hours of ab training per week for 6 weeks. Yet despite their hard work, the ab exercises resulted in no significant belly fat loss or overall fat reduction in general. The researchers concluded that there was no significant effect of abdominal exercises on body weight, body fat percentage, abdominal circumference, abdominal skin fold, and supralic skin fold measurements. To put this into simple terms, chasing a toned and trimmed midsection by only performing endless crunches and sit-ups is essentially a complete waste of time. Instead, your primary focus should be on your diet. Make sure that you're in a calorie deficit, that you're eating real, unprocessed foods found around the outside aisles of your grocery store, and you should also be getting enough protein while performing resistance training at least 3 to 4 times a week. That'll help you get rid of belly fat while maintaining muscle mass in the process. Next, you probably don't know that vitamin D has a direct connection to belly fat. That's right, studies have found that individuals with lower levels of vitamin D tend to have higher levels of belly fat and larger waistlines. Vitamin D is produced in the skin upon contact with sunlight, and it plays many important roles in the human body, which is why it's been linked to protection against heart failure, diabetes, and cancer. However, the crazy thing is that over 40% of the US population is vitamin D deficient, which some authors call an ignored epidemic. So you're probably thinking, why does vitamin D cause higher levels of belly fat? Well, even though we need more research to say for sure, there are a couple possible theories for this connection. First, vitamin D is involved in the regulation of insulin secretion and insulin sensitivity. So having adequate vitamin D levels may reduce belly fat accumulation by improving insulin sensitivity and metabolic function. Second, low vitamin D levels are linked to increased inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammation can contribute to weight gain and the development of obesity-related diseases. And third, not getting enough vitamin D can impair testosterone levels. One study involving 2,300 men found that those who had sufficient vitamin D levels had much higher testosterone than those who were deficient. The scientists also found a close link between changes in plasma vitamin D and testosterone. During the summer months, the men got more sunshine, and in turn, they had higher vitamin D levels, which made their testosterone levels also much higher. So if you don't get much sun and you don't take a vitamin D supplement currently, it's best to do a vitamin D blood test, and if it turns out that you are in fact deficient, supplement with vitamin D3 or try to get more sunlight. Next is posture, which matters more than most people think. That's right, practicing proper posture can make your midsection appear slimmer. When you stand or sit with proper posture, your spine is aligned and your abdominal muscles are engaged. This engagement helps tone the abdominal muscles and provides a natural corset looking like effect, making your midsection appear slimmer. You can simply just try this out for yourself. Go ahead and sit down in a chair in front of the mirror, round your back, and look at your stomach. Then go ahead and sit fully upright and look at your midsection again in the mirror. You'll see that when you slouch or hunch over, your midsection will appear much larger. But that's not the only reason why proper posture is important. Another reason is that poor posture, such as slouching or hunching over, can cause the abdominal muscles and the abdominal wall to weaken, and then that causes the belly to protrude outwards. Another little known issue that affects belly fat is air pollution. Even though the foods that you eat will play a much bigger role in regard to belly fat, air pollution that comes from industrialization and modernization is a significant threat to global health and a risk factor for many diseases. Recent research suggests that air pollution may contribute to an increase in people being overweight and obese. Studies have linked exposure to outdoor and indoor air pollutants, including particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, ozone, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, to obesity. The reason why air pollution increases body fat is likely due to it causing an increase in inflammation, oxidative stress, metabolic imbalances, causing epigenetic modifications, and impairing the intestinal flora. To reduce the potential impact of air pollution on obesity and belly fat, it would be ideal to live in a less densely industrialized area, but if your area is particularly known to be high in pollution, you can pay attention to air quality by using online tools or smartphone apps. You can also consider using air purifiers with HEPA filters in your home to reduce indoor air pollution. These devices can help remove particulate matter and other pollutants, improving indoor air quality. But most of all, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, including a balanced diet rich in antioxidants, regular exercise, and stress management, can all help counteract the adverse effects of air pollution. The next overlooked fact is that sleep matters a lot. Over a third of American adults consistently get insufficient sleep. This is largely due to factors like shift work, smart devices, and social media usage during usual sleeping hours. The problem is that doing this can increase body fat, as shown by a recent study conducted by the Mayo Clinic, which was published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. It revealed that insufficient sleep coupled with unrestricted food access leads to an increase in caloric intake and subsequent fat accumulation, particularly the harmful fat located within the abdominal region. The randomized controlled crossover study discovered that inadequate sleep resulted in a 9% growth in overall abdominal fat and an 11% increase in visceral fat compared to getting regular sleep. Visceral fat is especially problematic because it's stored deep within the abdomen and it surrounds internal organs, giving it a strong connection to heart and metabolic disorders. The main reason not getting enough sleep increases belly fat is that it causes people to consume more calories. In the study, the participants who had their sleep restricted consumed on average an extra 300 calories per day. On top of that, sleep deprivation also impacts hormonal health. It increases, for example, levels of the stress hormone cortisol while plummeting your testosterone, both of which make you more likely to gain belly fat. So make sure to get enough sleep. For most people, that means getting between anywhere from 7 and 9 hours of sleep per day. Next, you should know that not all fat is created equal. While losing weight in general is beneficial for health and well-being, if you're too heavy, it's losing belly fat that's particularly beneficial. That's because it's not just the fat that lies directly under the skin, which is known as subcutaneous fat, but it also includes visceral fat, which is the fat that surrounds internal organs in the abdominal cavity. This type of fat has a greater impact on overall health compared to subcutaneous fat found in other areas of the body. There are several reasons belly fat is especially harmful. First, it's very close to vital organs like the liver, stomach, and intestines. That belly fat directly influences these organs by releasing inflammatory substances that affect their functioning, which can cause many health issues. Second, visceral fat produces hormones and other substances that can directly affect your body's hormonal balance. It actually releases adipokines like leptin and adiponectin, which can influence appetite and insulin sensitivity. Third, visceral fat produces particularly high levels of inflammatory chemicals called cytokines, such as tumor necrosis factor alpha and interleukin 6. These cytokines contribute to a state of chronic inflammation, which is associated with an increased risk of developing various health conditions, including heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer. And finally, belly fat is especially bad for heart health. As stated by the American Heart Association, too much belly fat, even for people with a healthy BMI, raises heart risks. The last thing that most people aren't aware of is that stress affects fat distribution, particularly belly fat. If you have high levels of the stress hormone cortisol, you are more likely to gain belly fat and you will have a harder time getting rid of it. This is backed by lots of research. For example, there's something known as Cushing syndrome, which is a condition caused by having too much cortisol, and it generally goes hand in hand with an increase in belly fat. It's so correlated that when the cause of that elevated cortisol gets treated, the belly fat tends to go away. On top of that, as mentioned by the American Institute of Stress, primates that have increased cortisol also develop abdominal obesity, and laboratory studies confirm a clear correlation between cortisol levels and the buildup of deep abdominal fat. Also, a study of stressed out middle-aged Swedish men similarly showed that those with the highest cortisol levels also had the biggest beer bellies. Not only does chronically elevated cortisol stimulate belly fat directly, but it can also do so indirectly because many people start to consume more calories when they're stressed. So be sure to take steps to keep stress under control, such as adopting a positive mindset, getting enough sleep, performing meditation, spending time in nature, and spending time with family and friends. So that about wraps it up. I hope this video has helped you learn something new about belly fat that most people don't realize. If it has, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and if you want any extra help with reducing the size of your waist and eliminating your belly fat, try my free 6-week shred, where my clients are able to consistently lose either 20 pounds or 5% of their body fat in just 6 short weeks. You'll get a 42-day workout plan with a full video exercise library, a personalized diet plan, a recipe book, and a coach to answer all your questions and guide you through the entire process. To find out how it works, you can click the link in the description below, or you can head straight on over to my website at gravitytransformation.com. I'll see you guys soon. Pump it.